Hi everyone, my name is Luis Melendez. I was former Cage Warriors champion, and I'm now pro fighter, karate combat undefeated fighter. This is your coach, your money. Tune in.
All right, welcome to Your Coach, Your Money. We have an amazing show dialed up for today. We are excited and we are happy to bring you a pre-Thanksgiving, pre-holiday show where you can check us out. Again, we are here to educate and motivate our young athletes to make great financial decisions for their future. Today, we're sitting with a newly minted professional fighter, Luis Melendez. Right, from Puerto Rico. I'm not as good as the ring announcer at Cage Wars, but I am certainly working on it. Luis was born in Puerto Rico. He was a high school student athlete, and he was big into robotics.
Yes.
He's got the engineer brain. He currently works at Knowles. He graduated from I can't read it. I forgot already.
Clarkson University.
Graduated from Clarkson, and he moved here about 4 years ago. He didn't speak a lick of English.
Yeah.
And he has learned in, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years.
Unbelievable story. Unbelievable sequence, right? Pardon me. He turned pro. He won in Bogota, Colombia. And then Anthony Pettis tried him out, and he got signed by Anthony Pettis.
Yes, sir.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to pull back the veil a little bit on the different elements of combat sports, because everybody knows the UFC. Some people know about Bellator. Mm-hmm. You do karate combat, which obviously we've been rapping about for a while. But I'm going to let Anthony kind of fill us in a little bit about his pro career thus far, some things he's doing to stay in shape, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the financials behind what he does. So, what is karate combat? What is it all about?
Well, karate combat is a new modality, you could say. Back in the day, people were really big on karate. Karate was the huge thing, especially with Chuck Norris and all those characters. So
we got a lot of Chuck Norris jokes we can drop right now.
So yeah, the karate combat President Awesome, wanted to bring back that glory to karate. So he invented this type of modality where you have it's not a ring, it's like a pit, almost like blood sport. Like
oh my God.
And yeah, you're fighting there, and the rules are very simple. It's exactly like MMA without the ground. So you get the most.
So there's no wrestling, there's no jiu-jitsu.
There's very little wrestling, no jiu-jitsu. It's just pure action, pure blood, and just like
striking.
What the fans want.
So how long are the rounds? Is it different than UFC?
It's 3-minute rounds.
Okay, so it's really high intensity.
High pace, high intensity.
Because,
go.
That's one of the things, if you watch UFC, when you know when you're going to watch a great match when there's two strikers and they want to get it, right?
Yes.
But then sometimes you're watching and you got two people laying on the ground.
Yes.
And they're doing the jigsaw puzzle of I'm going to out jiu-jitsu you, right? And then it turns into this, wow, this is a snooze fest. We thought it was going to be an absolute lights out, bloodbath. Yeah. So in your world of karate combat, are there weight classes? How many divisions are there?
Yep.
Are you a champion there yet? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I started my pro career at the beginning of this year. Well, at the end of the last year in December.
All while he works at Knowles, by the way.
Yeah, I work at Knowles Atomic Power Lab. I've been an electrical engineer for 4 years now. And during my career that I was working at Knowles, I also worked in my master's and also in electrical engineering at Clarkson University. I graduated 6 months ago, so that's a super success.
You haven't stopped. You're a grinder. I love it.
Yeah. Well, in that period, I was also training. I did MMA national team, competing in Pan Americans in Colombia, Bogota.
Okay.
I won third place. And that was an amazing experience because I've never been to an MMA event just like that. It's pretty much
being around all those people and just that excitement of the venue.
A bunch of UFC coaches were they were coaching everyone there and all that stuff. I didn't have the resources. I was just there by myself,
just having fun. And then someone saw the shining diamond.
And then my first match, I got matched up with the champ, and I didn't know that he was a previous world champ.
Oh my God!
And it was funny. It was funny because the guy who was wrapping my hands, he was like, "Oh, who are you going against with?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going against that guy that has the golden uniform." He's like, "Oh, that guy." Normally uniforms are red or blue, so they only give you the golden one if you were a previous champion.
So it's like the World Series of Poker when you got the bracelet on and you drop your hand on the table and there's the bracelet as you're playing against the other guy on the table.
So here I'm at with the guy wrapping my hands, and he's saying, "Whoa, I fought that guy not too long ago, and he beat me up. I didn't have a chance." I'm like, "Dude, like,
thanks a lot, man.
Like,
Appreciate that as you're wrapping me."
This is a moment to do that. Then went into the match, and it was an absolute war. Super, super technical, just back and forth action, the whole thing. We're the main event of that whole day, and I end up winning. So that
you beat him.
Yeah, I beat.
So
up the champ.
how did that event get scored? Was it just striking, or was it the wrestling too?
It's MMA. It's just like MMA. The only difference is that you don't use elbows or knees to the face.
Oh, okay.
So everything else is the same. And I beat the champ. And then the cool thing and the brutal thing about the Pan Americans is that you weigh in the morning of, you fight the day of, you eat whatever. I mean, if you win, you eat, and then at night you have to cut weight again to repeat and do the next morning.
Next day.
You have to weigh in again. And
you can't overeat. Yeah.
You keep doing that cycle until you get to the podium. And I did it 3 times. I beat 3 people.
So let's make sure we shine light on that. So it's like a lot of these fighters, they walk around a lot heavier than where they fight.
Yeah.
So like, let's say if I'm a 217-pound fighter, I'm fighting in that weight class. Normally I walk around at 240.
Yeah.
And then I cut down to 217 for that fight, and then I'll blow right back up, right? In this case, Luis was probably having to stay at a lower weight and then maintaining that for multiple days, which is very difficult. So it's extremely hard. And it's a great story about overcoming, right? Because listen, here's a great thing about competition. If you want to be a winner, you got to beat people that you're not supposed to. Right? You have to overcome and you have to succeed against those who you would normally fail against. And the world that we live in today, it doesn't lend itself to that mentality because we live in a real comfortable world, right? Where things are easy and we're going to do things and stay status quo. We're not going to upset anybody. Well, the truth is when you get into the real world, it doesn't work like that. Right? You have to overcome. You have to win. There has to be a winner at the end of the day. Because then how do you overcome it if you never lost? Yes. Right? If everyone's a winner and I never lost before, well, how do I overcome that? How do I win? So a little bit a background here. Luis was a fighter at Cage Wars, which is a great venue locally, helps develop amateur mixed martial arts. And he was a champion there.
Correct.
Which is great. Now, we've had fighters on here before. We had El Shaddai come on. We've had Dan Mergliata come on. We've had some great people come on and tell us about what their process is. Talk to the audience a little bit about, you're holding a full-time job. I'm not sure if married or if you have kids or not. Good, thank God. You don't rush into that. Kids are great, but boy, they just suck the life out of you sometimes. But talk a little bit about, you got to fight on Saturday,
yes,
right, or coming up in 2 weeks, right? So talk a little bit about the lead up, how you got to prep, the travel, the cost, right? Talk a little bit about that.
So the thing is that since I'm working at Knowles, I'm pretty much, when I'm at Knowles, I'm out of the space of the world because we can't bring the phones.
No phones.
Right. We can't do anything with that. So I work all day, and then right after that, I just go home, let the dog out and everything, get ready to go and work out, go straight to the gym, and then I spend 2 to 3 hours every day working out. Now, the thing about me is that that time that I have there at the gym is limited. Right. So I want to make the most.
Be super efficient.
Super efficient with my time because I don't have the time that other fighters have where they get all the sponsors and they train 3 times a day and they're
right. Normally a pro fighter is training jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai in the morning, wrestling, boxing in the afternoon, and weight training at night.
Conditioning, yeah.
And they're eating pre-prepped meals by a chef all day long.
Yes.
Right? I mean, like, listen, I'm a big guy. I'm probably 40 pounds heavier than what I was when I played. You don't have the chiseled physique of a Luke Rockhold or even a Francis Ngannou, like just naturally, right? I mean, some guys just have freakish genetics, but you have to eat clean. You have to be on point. You can't miss a workout.
Yeah.
Right. And if you do, you're that much further behind your opponent.
Yes.
So as the event comes up, now you got to prep for travel. What's that look like?
Well, at least for Karate Combat, they do take care of the travel.
That's huge.
So but that's once you get to pro level. All my amateur fights, I had to do all the expenses.
That's a lot of money out of pocket.
It's a lot of money out of
Airplanes,
pocket.
hotels, food
Plus
while you're traveling.
Vacation time at work.
Oh, you're taking time off from work.
Time off from work. And now at this point in my career, I'm at a point that I ran out of vacation time. So I'm trying to do overtime, which is taking less time of my
away
working
from
out.
Training,
Yeah.
right?
And even then, I don't even make that many hours to actually account for the travel.
So
I'm traveling 2 weeks. I have like 10 maybe 12 hours.
So this is great for our listeners to understand. This is a gamble, right? Just like life, this is a gamble. And you got to take assumed risks and you got to take calculated risks. And the truth is, sooner or later, Knowles might say, hey, Luis, we love you, but you're just taking too much time off. And now he's forced to go down this road, but then you got to invest in yourself.
Yes.
And for our young business owners out there that are either athletes or they're dealing with NIL or they're going to start a garbage company, whatever they do, you have to invest in yourself, right? And you got to be thoughtful of those things, because if you don't diversify your investment, and here we're going to get to the punchline, and Luis goes all in on fighting, what happens? Eventually we all get hurt and we all have to retire. So it's in that time frame of 27 to 40 years old where can we make this a career that's A, have longevity, and B, have an impact on those around us.
Yes.
Right? So talk to me a little bit about, like, you obviously, did you grow up in Puerto Rico?
I did. I grew up in Puerto Rico, very poor family, hard upbringing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drives me to really get up to that level, to the highest level that I can, because I had nothing.
Yeah.
My family had nothing, and I'm just hungry for that.
I love that
next
word,
level.
hungry,
Yeah,
right?
hungry.
I mean, there's so many people out there that don't, really conceptualize what it is to be hungry and have that drive,
Yeah,
right?
it's different.
That grind, like, hey, I grew up, didn't have much, and now I want to make something with my life, right? Then you can give your kids more than what you got, right?
And at the beginning, I didn't have a baseline. I just knew that I want to get to the highest point possible that I could.
Yeah.
And then I met Anthony. I'm like, okay,
And
I
now,
know what the highest.
for our
point
listeners,
is.
Anthony is one of the most world-renowned fighters. He's amazing, and he's a great personality too.
Former UFC
champion, right? He's a phenomenal person, and that's where that community of fighting becomes really great. And Sam, make sure we tag Anthony Pettis in this video when we post it.
Yeah.
Because hopefully he'll give us a couple likes.
And Sammy,
But-
my manager.
Right? Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we'll tag everybody. But one of those things where I like to ask is, like, do you have any like charities, or do you have any outreach facilities or programs that you have become a little closer with? Is there anything like that you've developed relationships with yet?
No, not
It
really.
will it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, it will happen eventually. I know. I'm always like, I believe that the time is now to focus on myself, so I can reach that level, and then on the way, and when I reach that level, then help the people that are around me, and help them grow up, give them hope. For example, right now when I'm at my gym, I help everybody up. And it's awesome whenever I come from a fight and they're just, you can
see the win,
smile,
right?
and
Yeah.
you can see the smile on their face, the smile on their eyes. The kids love it. They get more motivated. They have an extra oomph, and having that is great. Not only that, at the gym, wherever I go, like at work at Knowles, people are like, oh, when's your next fight? Oh,
Right.
What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So that's just an extra motivation that I have every day, just walking towards work, and people are just asking, being very interested in the life.
So for our listeners out there, if you are a business owner, if you are someone that's interested, Luis is always looking for sponsors.
Yes.
And this is where me and Luis were talking before the show, and I want Luis to get more of a social media following, right? Because at the end of the day, when we want people to follow you and say, hey, here's how you find Luis, here's how you get a hold of him, make sure that you reach out to us. We'll connect you with Luis if you're interested in being a sponsor. There's all kinds of great opportunities for businesses out there, small, large, and big, small, medium, and big. There's a lot of opportunities they do at the individual level where you can put a business name on your shirt, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Your boxing gear. I know UFC is very, very limited in what they allow in the ring.
Yeah. But right now, I'm free.
Right. It's for now it's there, right?
It's there.
Now is the time to buy in.
Exactly.
So for our local businesses out there, and we have a lot of them, if you're interested in talking to Luis about a sponsorship, let us know. We'll get you connected, and obviously, we're going to have a deeper conversation about that individually. But I'm all about making sure that people have the opportunity to succeed. And without an opportunity, then we have nothing.
Yes.
Right. So we like to make sure we have a chance and at least take advantage of that chance. Right.
Yeah.
Talk to our listeners a little bit about some of the funny stuff that you do. Is there some kind of crazy habit that you have or something you're really passionate about that's not fighting related or electrical engineering related?
Not fighting or electrical engineering. I do like.
Here we go.
There's
always a quirky thing, right? Like I got some quirky stuff.
I do like surfing. Well, I can't do that anymore, so I switched to snowboarding, which is pretty close.
Oh, cool.
Really like it. It's different, but it's as close as I can get.
Nice.
So that's cool. We haven't had good years here in the last 2 years. Have been
the snow has
bad.
been horrible. Yeah, there's been just rain. We're gonna get snow this year, though. Don't worry, it's coming.
Oh, nice. What else? I do like anime. I like those shows.
Oh, cool.
I just like the way that superhero stuff and all, because I see myself like that.
Nothing wrong with that. That's really cool. I'm a big Vox Machina guy. Right? I love Vox Machina. Is a great show on Amazon Prime.
Nice. So I think that's it. I don't have that many.
That's okay. Listen, you're a busy guy. You don't have many hours left in the day to do other stuff, right? I wouldn't imagine be like, I love puzzles, right? Well, sorry, dude, you're not going to be doing many of those. I wanted to just make sure our viewers know who you are. Keep an eye out for this young man. You're going to see him on a headline for either Karate Combat or a UFC event at some point relatively soon. He's going to break through. Thank you again for tuning in. We hope you liked our episode. Feel free to share it with your friends. If you want to get a hold of us at Your Time, Your Money, please give us a call at 844-444-YTYM. You can also get a hold of us on our website, yourtimeyourmoney.net, for your net worth. Another great thing that's actually up and running is our new team website is officially up and running. Sam is going to put a big scroll bar right here so you can click on it right during the episode. We're excited about that. And as always, it's your coach and your money.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Your Time, Your Money. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to share this with friends, family, coworkers, anyone else that you think might be interested. If you do have questions or topics, you can always email them to irontreefinancial@ceterais.com. Please follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Spotify, Google Play, and many other sources that were available. And you can reach us at 844-444-YTYM. And as always, it's your time and your money. Cetera Investors is the marketing name of Cetera Investment Services. Securities and insurance products are offered through Cetera Investment Services, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Cetera Investment Advisors, LLC. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily the views and opinions of Cetera Investment Services. Any recommendations mentioned in this episode are meant for educational purposes only and should not be construed as advice or personal recommendations. Always consult your financial advisor, tax advisor, and attorney for details related to your specific risks, goals, and objectives. Investments have risk and can lose value. They are not FDIC insured. The situations presented are hypothetical to illustrate key topics and should not be construed as actual client situations or experiences. The Esley Group and Iron Tree Financial operate under Cetera Investors and is responsible for the production of this show. The views and opinions are solely that of the Esley Group and Iron Tree Financial. You should always obtain a prospectus when available prior to investing to know your risk, costs, and fees associated with the investment. Neither the Esley Group or Iron Tree Financial nor Cetera Investment Services offer legal or tax advice or services. You should consult your attorney for all legal-related strategies and planning before you invest. Any legal, tax, or advice from our guest hosts are not necessary necessarily the opinion of Cetera Investment Services, the Esley Group, or Iron Tree Financial. All guest hosts are independent from the Esley Group, Iron Tree Financial, and Cetera Investors. The views expressed on this show are not necessarily the views and opinions of Cetera Investment Services and should not be construed as legal, tax, or other advice.